G'day and welcome to Dave's Model Workshop. Today I'm in the kitchen and not the workshop, and I'm going to show you how to bend styrene. So I've got this curve of styrene here and this piece here, and I want this piece to go like that, to follow the curve of the top piece of styrene. And it's just not going to work. Like, there's no way I can clamp that on that convex curve. No way I can clamp that. No way I can use rubber bands, clothes pegs, nothing. So what I'm going to do instead is bend this piece so that it stays like that, and then it's going to be much, much easier to stick to this piece. So the trick is, you need to put it in boiling water, which is why I'm in the kitchen. So I've just boiled my kettle, got a couple of ramekins and some tongs. Here's my boiling hot water, spilling it everywhere. And I'm going to pop this guy in there to just soften up a little bit. Don't burn yourself, whatever you do. So yeah, pop it in there to soften up a little bit. And then once it's soft, I'm going to put it into this other ramekin, which is roughly around the right sort of size, right diameter for what I'm after, and have it sort of conform to the interior curve of that ramekin. So yeah, give it about a minute or so. Depends on the thickness of the styrene. Much thinner styrene will get soft and bend much more readily than thick styrene. But yeah, what's that been? About 45 seconds to a minute? Let's fish it out and give it a try. Like I said before, don't burn yourself. Let's see how bendy that is already. Yeah, could do it a little bit more. Give it a tiny bit longer. Fascinating video. You guys can sit here and watch the steam rise. Yeah, okay. This is not the most interesting bit. But it's a really cool technique. So you can use it on flat styrene, you can use it on rod styrene, any kind of styrene you need it to bend. This is the way you do it, and hold the shape basically. So if you try and bend styrene otherwise, it'll snap on you, or it'll temporarily bend, and it'll just spring back to what it was originally molded as. It's got a pretty strong memory, this stuff. Yeah, let's try that. So I'm going to pop it in here. If you had some kind of tricky way, so that's it in there. If you had some kind of tricky way of keeping it in that space, great. If you had another ramekin to put in on top of it or something to hold it in there, probably a really good idea. But for you guys, so you can actually see, I'm trying not to do that today. And it doesn't take long for it to cool down and stay anyway. And look, it's not going to be perfect to that shape. Once I take it out, once it's cooled and it's taken out, it will spring back flat a tiny bit, but it's going to be much, much easier. No, not quite. It's going to be much, much easier once it's got that bend in it than without. Right, so I'm going to do this again, heat up some more water. Sometimes you have to do this, sometimes it just takes a bit, a couple of turns. I'm going to do it again and show you in a tick so you don't have to sit here and watch the water steam. Okay, that's been in freshly steamed water, freshly boiled water for about 2 minutes. Let's take it out. I was also thinking I might try a smaller radius thing to put it into to try and keep its curve. So let's see how we're going. Again, don't burn yourself. It's pretty flexible. Pop it to this guy. Yeah, that's probably better actually, because there's no way it can really unspring from that, whereas in that one it was kind of unspringing itself. Does that make sense? There was nothing holding it in place. So that doesn't look like the same radius as that. But once it comes out, once it's all nice and cooled down, once it comes out, it's going to spring back to shape a little bit, and I reckon we're going to end up about there. Let's see. I'll leave it to cool down. And here we are once it's cooled down. So it's definitely sprung out further than what I expected from that. Like, it's sprung out bigger than what it was. But that is going to hold on pretty nicely for me. Once I glue that in, it's going to take its shape fairly easily. Yeah, I'll glue it together and show you what I mean. And here is the finished result. So it's stuck really nicely onto that curved piece that I needed it to stick to. There's no way I could have done that, and all I've done is I've used some CA glue put a little bit on the edge there, stuck it down there, waited 30 seconds for that to dry, stuck a bit more on there, pushed the other side in, waited 30 seconds to dry. That's it. There's no bracing or anything on the back, just a bit of glue that I've glued in there to keep it holding it. And yeah, it's worked a treat. Some other examples. This piece here, I bent a piece of styrene rod, so that was a long straight piece. I wanted it to go into this little black socket, so bent it, and it's worked. Another piece that I have is this piece of styrene that's bent on the front here. So done exactly the same thing, heated it up in boiling water, and it's kept its shape now for 5 months. That's how long it's taking me to build this thing. But yeah, it's working really well. And one final piece is this little bent piece on the top here. So this sort of drilled brackety piece just here. Yeah, flat piece of styrene, heated it up, holds its shape forever now. I hope that's been helpful to you. It's a really easy technique and it gets you out of a lot of scrapes. This would have been just a nightmare to try and do. Otherwise it would have sprung out when I least wanted it to. Even if the glue would have held, it wouldn't have held for a long time. It would have just gone and come back to shape. But now it's going to stay like that for me and it's not going to give me any grief. If you have any questions, give me a yell. Otherwise, I hope this has been helpful to you. And I'll see you next time on Dave's Model Workshop. Cheers guys. Bye.